Friday afternoon, gents.
Man,
Welcome.
I'm still warm from my sauna.
Yeah.
3 hours ago now?
Yeah.
Frank, how you doing, man?
Pretty
Frank
good.
Harrison,
It is my pleasure
welcome.
to be here. Irreverent Health. It's a beautiful name.
It is, in fact. Thank you very much. I love that you love it, because we do love it, and it's given us a lot of license to do a lot of fun
Yeah,
stuff.
it lets us go far and wide and put a big big ring around what healthcare is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Frank,
Sure.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as you know, having been on Frank About Health,
Yeah.
here I am just being transparent, but you have to be irreverent in the current circumstances we're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. Well, that's actually almost a weirdly appropriate jump-in point, because
What a good segue.
That's a pretty specific. It's a pretty specific observation. So let's talk a little bit about how you came to have such observations. Like, how did you end up where you're at right now? Because you got an interesting bunch of
Tell
stuff
the
going
story,
on, so
Frank.
we can kind of like dive in on a bunch of spots. So let's just get the ball rolling.
Okay, well, I would have to say it was kind of an autobiographical story. I didn't even have any intention to write one, but I am an individual that has lived most of my life as an epileptic, or like they say, people living with epilepsy. I'm proud to say I'm seizure free since 2005.
Okay.
That's 20 years now, but I still take medication. So I am still living with epilepsy, and I know there's a difference when I don't take my medication, and there could be the inevitable seizure that I have been able to avoid for 20 years. So one of the challenges I faced while living my life with epilepsy was not just the actual care, medicines, doctors, MRIs, EEGs, the list goes on, but it was the social stigma that I was dealing with in the workplace, at school, with family, with friends, with people who pretended to be friends, so forth and so on. And yeah, I think it created some mental health reactions, whether it's depression, anxiety. I know I have a bout with PTSD, but yet the thing is that I found myself always shuffling around, like, how am I going to get people to understand that if I am acting out of the ordinary or out of place, maybe it's my brainwaves that's creating the behaviors. So being a student of psychology as well, I got my master's at NYU in neuropsychology. I wanted to go ahead and do a dissertation or a thesis on the correlation between epilepsy and depression. And I came up with my variables, and the only thing it said, based on the data that I collected, is that quality of life is usually substandard. And so what it did was motivate me to become...
all that work and money in a dissertation in a school, and you came up with this.
Well, actually, it helped me to create different avenues and opportunities with my business background, which I also have. I have an MBA from Fordham Gabelli School of Business. I came up with different healthcare solutions for people who were losing their health insurance coverage around the time of Obamacare. And at the same time, my research that I just described allowed me to create my podcast, which was initially going to be called Frank, meaning transparent. It is my name, but Frank About Epilepsy. I was going to let everyone know we just have a different way of living our lives. Either accept it or don't, but don't spend your time placating, gaslighting, doing whatever you do, so that we can live as much of a normal life as we can, while understanding that people are not going to accept you for whatever disability you carry. I mean, that goes across the board, but it's very interesting that when you have epilepsy, it's not like you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So as a result, you get mistreated and misjudged. It's like they're not thinking of you as disabled, but they're thinking you as you're a drug addict, you're possessed by witches, whatever.
That's okay. I've got at least 6 witches controlling me right now, so you're fine,
Frank,
man.
But Frank, like with epilepsy, it's not like you walk in, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. I've known a few epileptics, and they don't walk into a room and announce it like, "Okay, guys, just letting everybody."
Yeah, they're not vegans, Frank. They're not vegans.
Yeah, they're not vegans, Frank. Yeah, they're not Subaru drivers.
They're not CrossFitters.
No, that's true. That's true. But if you are unfortunately the kind of epileptic patient that has recurring seizures on the hour, and there are those, I think the condition is called Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. You need to tell people up front that they should expect you to be unconscious in about an hour.
At some point, yeah.
Right. At some point in the next hour, I will be on the floor.
You know what, Frank? It sounds like, and I actually owe him a phone call, and probably you get an introduction to him. Jeff Pearson does a show called Invisible Conditions.
Oh, right.
And, you know, he has hydrocephaly, right? You're supposed to grow out of that. Well, here's a 50-something-year-old man who has had what? How many stints did he say he had?
Oh,
like every few years, he's got to get a new stint into his skull.
Jeff Pearson, that name is very familiar.
Well, he's from 360, so I'll make sure you have the intro after if I didn't make it, because I owe him an email too.
He's actually a really good example of like a guy who's had something horribly wrong with him for years, decades, and had no fucking idea what it was, and like everyone's telling him, you know, witches and everything else that you just mentioned, but like no one actually had a real like explanation. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think. That story resonates with more than a couple.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny where his whole thing was like, look, you know, I appear, quote unquote, you know, a normal. Why am I parking in the handicapped spot?
Oh yeah,
you're just being lazy, or it takes me hours to prepare to go to the grocery store, you know, and I think a lot of people don't realize that if they can't physically see something, right? You know,
I've said this before, Frank, and I'll tell you again. I'm the first person to judge that motherfucker getting out of the handicap spot. I'm like, fuck that guy. Like, what is he doing? Lazy piece of shit. And I'm like, I have no idea what's on. But I'm like, I think it's like human nature, because I'm like, I get so protective of people being an asshole in general that I'm like, oh, fuck this guy.
Well, you know, it was kind of interesting though, because I had found benefits in being an epileptic individual. And I think I was trying, at the advice of, yes, I did have a therapist. I needed to, especially with all the challenges I was faced with, using it to my advantage, meaning that I did notice I had certain intuition levels that were very productive for me when I was dealing in a business opportunity, or if I was feeling like, wait, something negative is going to happen. I need to put the watch out for this person or this situation. And it would be like resonating in my stomach, like a heated moment, like if I was digesting something. But I didn't realize that within minutes, that event that I was perceiving was going to happen would occur.
Almost like an intuition.
Well, it's intuition for sure. But because the brain waves, even when you're medicated, are continuing to act irregular, that is, think of it as crisscross wires.
I was just going to ask, what is epilepsy? Like, is that what that is? Is it an electrical short?
Well, it's just that mine is genetically based, which I found out from the good people at NYU Langone's Comprehensive Epilepsy Center. I know that sounds like a plug because it is.
Hey, are you in Manhattan, Frank? Are you in Manhattan?
Gee, I think I should look over at Roosevelt Island and figure that out. No, yes, I am in Manhattan.
Yeah.
No, but
on the east side, nonetheless. So right over there with all of those places.
Yeah. He's just name dropped every like New York institution for education and healthcare.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, because they were my support system in many ways, academically, professionally, even just
medically. Yeah.
Medically, NYU Langone. Right. You know,
I mean, listen, I was the art school kid, and so you haven't mentioned FIT or Pratt or anything, so I'm a little offended. But okay, that we've left out.
It's very interesting though. I got to say that I was already outliving the stigma in my own personal and professional life, and I guess I just wanted to amplify it. Ironically, though, the people at talkradio.nyc did see the value in the branding, and they just said, call it Frank About Health, because if it is already a stigmatized condition, what kind of audience are you going to have?
Right.
So I called it Frank About Health, and then we had another issue that we all dealt with in the year 2000, which was the COVID-19 pandemic.
Which one are you talking about? No, I'm kidding.
Which one?
Right.
What, this week? Was it this week?
I know, but it also depends on who is leading the administration at the time. We can have a daily pandemic at this point.
We wouldn't know about it. We've gutted every warning system.
Yes.
Right.
So I became more of a healthcare advocate, and also I was doing caregiving for my father and my and my cousin got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I put her in a nursing home back in February of this year. My father's recovering from prostate cancer, and he's going to be 95 in August. So doing that and doing my show, I became really aware of everything.
You were living it. Yeah.
I was
dialed the fuck in is what we say, Frank.
You were 100.
Dialed the fuck in is what we say here, right? You're like just
Frank's producer. I was like, can I curse on this?
Yeah.
They're like, keep it down, but yeah.
No, I mean, a mutual friend of ours, MZ, he said, I hope I'll keep my well, I could verbally saying, and I hope I keep my fucks to a minimum. Yeah. And I said, say F.
Yeah.
But I said, you can say shit show, you can say don't be an ass, because I've had people do that. I've even said it by accident.
Yeah.
But that doesn't get me suspended or whatever. But if anyone did say that, I would be given notice that my show is up.
No,
we definitely don't have that problem.
We the show is called Irreverent for a reason, for several reasons.
Exactly, which it's actually very freeing, I must admit, because
you know what, though, and that's the biggest problem in this arena, right? Is that I think anyway that the irreverent thing is almost a cheat code because it does give us the latitude that's necessary to have some of these conversations. It's not about dropping F-bombs. It's about just being able to talk unfiltered, right? And like, that's the part where so many of these health podcasts and interviews and stuff that I hear, I fucking cringe because I'm like, what are these two idiots talking about? Like, I don't like, and it's just so stuffy and bottled and canned and
like our first 10 episodes.
Which were terrible because of that same thing, right? Like,
well, the orgasmic meditation one was pretty good, but like after that, sitting there and talking about red light frequencies, I was like,
you're like, oh.
God, do we want to just shoot ourselves now?
Yeah, should we just like all just Harry carry this situation? Yeah,
get us better listenership. Not a long show.
And I think that's kind of the problem, right? When we were all kids, that our parents and grandparents said you don't talk about religion, politics, health, like there was a whole list. Sex, like you don't talk about any of these things. My grandfather would be fucking rolling over right now if he heard a tenth of the conversations that are normal parlance right now in a health thing, right?
God,
like,
the last episode, how about we just how much can we talk about drugs?
Yeah,
the fun ones.
The fun ones, yeah. And it's funny, our last guest actually said something that most of them don't. He's like, no, listen, there's nothing wrong with taking a bunch of mushrooms for fun every once in a while. That's cool too. We're all here talking about the therapeutic benefits, but he's like, no, they're fun too.
They're fun. Yeah, they can be both.
They could be both. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. It could be both. But we don't, anyway, not to pontificate too much, but I think it's a shame that we don't have more of a candid relationship with this conversation because I think
there seems to be a very sterile clinical approach to health, which exists in labs, and it doesn't exist in patients. It doesn't exist in culture, society, and when you make it that sterile, it kind of loses humanity,
Well, at least I didn't do that with Frank About Health. I made sure I had everyone who was either an advocate, a fellow podcaster, someone who had a story that was debilitating and how they succeeded from it. One of my favorite guests was my dear friend Retha Gray, who unfortunately passed a year ago about this time. She worked with Betty White on several of her programs. Betty White's Off Their Rockers. She did commercials with her before Betty White died. And then, of course, at the same time, we became close friends because she was a big healthcare advocate, but in politics. She was working with Kaiser Permanente on the West Coast, but she was really trying to do what she can, especially within the Screen Actors Guild, to go ahead and come up with new protections for healthcare, which actually served the purpose of my current opportunity that I'm creating with Fordham University to really help out our nation with the current healthcare crisis of everybody not being able to afford it. So it was she that inspired a lot of the way I took the show from just a clinical setting or a stigma removing concept to let's all build a community together and fight for the causes that matter. And right now I'm finishing up in January my Voices of Disruption series, where I'm having people that had issues and they recovered from them and they made something happen as a result.
I mean, that's the MZ story right there that you just basically said, right?
And that's also Tom's story, and also Dale Atkins, who is going to be on the Today Show on the 5th of January. I would like to take credit for that, but I highly doubt that was the reason why she got on.
but let me ask you.
Sure.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say she would be my first win by association.
I gotcha. Yeah. I gotcha.
But let me ask you a question, because I think this is something that's come up on the show a ton, right? We all say, you just said like the healthcare crisis right now, and that's that people can't afford it, right? Tom and I have said it in a different way, where we said you could live forever, but only if you're rich, because that all these fancy things are really only available to you if you have a ton of money, right? Boots on the ground where you're at, how do you even start to make this more affordable? Because like the shit in between is expensive. I mean, it's fucking $50 for a Band-Aid at an ER, right? Like, so like, how do you get around any of this? Like, how do you even start to chisel away at that?
That's why everybody from government all the way down to the indigent individual, that it is not really an industry. It's not really a profession. It's an ecosystem that has its chronically ill. It's extremely wealthy. It's people that just need to focus on medications. It's people that want to delve into plastic surgery. It's people that want to do cannabis to help to heal their bipolar disorder. It's people who want to do acupuncture and alternative treatments. It's people like me that just want to be focused on the mental health aspects of illness. And because it's an ecosystem, there are so many players and nobody can get a handle on it. That's why it has been historically, in my view, I could be wrong, because you both, I mean, I know, Tom, you're an actual MD, but Matt, are you a doctor?
No, I'm not an actual MD. Let's not, I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Thank you for the accolades, but well, I don't need somebody saying I'm impersonating a doctor. That's what I'm most worried about.
Yeah. Clearly, I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV. I'm not that kind of
doctor.
Yeah.
I'm always giving disclaimers on the show. This is not the show for you if you think I'm going to give you a medical solution.
Well, honestly, the disclaimer should be, if you need a fucking disclaimer, you're listening to the wrong show. Like, I mean, like, you clearly are not in the right spot.
Yeah.
Because if you mistake any of this for medical advice, you're an idiot. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
That is actually in the footer of our our website.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, clearly.
Wow.
Can we put that in the footer of our website? I was joking,
now
but
I'm wondering, like, we should.
Like, can we? I know
this is medical advice. You're a moron.
Third Partner has a footer that's like pretty ironclad that has to go on every page, but I don't see why we can't embellish with that statement.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, but look,
I think the only reason why I do that is maybe I'm double and triple checking, but I had my own doctor come on my podcast once, and he showed me a patient having a seizure without the dot matrix on the face, without the permissions to give HIPAA compliance. I had the episode pulled. There was no way I was going to go out there and
you don't want to be that guy.
$1 in lawsuits.
So you want to hear something funny?
That's fine, but like the big expense, I think, at public health level is that you could get sued for that, right? Like, and you can get sued for 800 other things.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't, that is kind of a big problem, because like a show like this, look, take Huberman, right? Like, that's a little different story. He is a doctor. He is talking about.
Well, isn't he a PhD?
Stuff.
I think I didn't think he was an MD. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a researcher.
All right. Well, either way.
Oh, he's brilliant. I'm not arguing that, but he probably can't give medical advice per se.
But it kind of, that could be
construed.
That could be construed as medical advice, in the sense that you're like, okay, this is like, it's naming exact compounds, it's naming exact conditions. We're just having a conversation about something, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like, I really don't think, like, in common, what was it? I think it was Posters and Things versus Iowa back in the 90s. It was the rule of the land.
Posters and Things. Why do I remember that? Was that like the little kiosks in the mall?
Yeah, right. So the rule of land, when it came to what's a bong and what's like a water pipe, was if 12 jurors, like members of your community, can look at it and say, this is a drug paraphernalia or this is just a spoon. Because like a spoon you could eat soup with, but you could also boil, cocaine in it and turn it into an injectable.
Wait a minute. That's like the statement. I don't know what pornography is, but when I do when I see it.
I do when I see it. Right. It's
like,
the same idea.
Isn't that is, oh my God.
And then that's kind of, it's not a great way for law, but at the same time, this is kind of like, this is where I think we kind of also go sideways. Like you listen to a show like Huberman, you get a little confused maybe. Like, okay, maybe I want to do exactly this or exactly that. I don't think that happens here. People aren't confused when they leave our show, Frank. They're like,
well, look, man, if they want to blast off to the astral plane through breath work or, remote viewing, like I can't stop them.
Yeah,
no,
right.
but
let them sue us.
But what you're talking about kind of answers your question, Matt. I mean, essentially, healthcare is a construct. Most people, you would hope, are healthy. You've got your chronically ill people, like maybe 20% of the country. Let's just talk about the U.S. All right. The other 80% are busy through Medicare and Medicaid funding it. Yeah. And that's exactly what our current administration is having a problem with. All right. They're not looking at healthcare as a need. They're looking at it as
an expense.
Pulling down our society, or the people that are lazy. All the labels that are attached. They're not looking at the humanity of everyone's need for healthcare. You want to have preventative health. That's what we all go for and strive for. But unfortunately, we don't.
I call bullshit on that, Frank. I don't.
Well, no, they do not give a shit. Like the government does not give a shit.
I don't mean we, the country. I mean we, the individuals. We want to prevent.
I also call bullshit on that. I
would say most people are so in their own bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That they're not necessarily thinking about you as another human being with wants, needs, health concerns, right? Why? Because they're worried about paying their fucking bills too, because that's what the system did to us.
Yeah, but Frank, if I went to you and I said, "Hey, Frank, I got you," let's say you came to me and you're like, "Man, Matt, I'm super stressed out. I can't get my head around it. It's affecting my sex life. It's affecting my work life. I can't, this stress is just killing me out." I said, "Hey, man, I will cure you, no problem. But all you have to do is meditate for a half hour a day for the next 6 months."
Well, I would listen to that advice. I've done meditation.
Very few
I've done
would.
acupuncture.
Very few. No, and I'm not saying there's not. I would too, Frank. If you and I had this conversation, I would do the same thing.
Okay.
But like when I talk to people about anything stupid and like supplements or exercise regime or anything that I've done personally, they're like, "How do you know about this?" I said, "Well, I read 2,000 articles about this and I've tried it out. I failed at 18 different things and I did this, that, and the other." They're like, "I don't have the time or desire to do any of those things. I don't want to fucking know this much about vitamin D or fucking selenium or, I don't care." So like, that's why I said I call bullshit on that, because I think most people don't think about health until they're sick and there's an acute problem. And when they do, they bitch about how expensive it is because now they have to fix an acute problem rather than stave off all problems.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
I know, I actually agree with what you're saying, but then again, there is the population of people who probably are living a healthy existence, but like epileptics or people who have autism or people who have PTSD or people who are recovered from cancer or recovered from diabetes or whatever. They become concerned about maintaining the good quality of life, so they become in the bucket of those that care about preventative care. Or they'll look for alternative care to mitigate the side effects of medication, for example. So it becomes a segment that would qualify what you said, that you call bullshit, but then would also negate it. It's just that's part of the problem that I think our country is viewing the healthcare ecosystem. By virtue of who you are or how you were raised or your economic status or your illness or even if you're extremely wealthy and healthy, there are multiple segments that cannot be contained or managed. That's why everything remains chaos, or what I like to call disruptive. And when you have the medical professionals and the engineers developing new solutions, robotics, mRNA vaccines, surgery that could be done as an outpatient, that requires funding. but
Yeah.
there's not interest in funding that when a majority of the country is happy the way life is already, unless they have that chronic illness. They become a minority, but yet without those new innovations, the disruption of making the funding for those new innovations is creating increase in mortality rates, because now there are no solutions for those that are ill.
Mm-hmm.
And the insurance companies like to price you out. They look at, oh, you're chronically ill, you're a risk, so I'll double your premium, I'll triple it, I'll quadruple it. Therefore, you're no longer covered.
And you're already, and especially if you're chronically ill, you're not able to work and earn a good wage to pay that. You know, this is something, and Matt's probably heard me talk about this. So the Chinese social media platform that we call Red Note here, which is actually Little Red Book, a direct nod to Mao.
Yes.
When they did that whole bait and switch with like TikTok going away, which once again was a bunch of billionaires fucking you. Basically, all these Chinese had this influx of new Americans on their app, and they wanted to talk. So they go, hey, look, we heard that if you get sick and you can't afford health insurance, you just die. And like all the Americans are like, yeah, what the fuck do you think happens? And China's like,
duh.
we thought our government was using propaganda against your country. That is fucked up. Like, wholeheartedly, what do you mean you don't take care of sick people? And then they went even further. They're like, we hear that if you lose your job, somebody takes your house away from you. And then, what do you have to do? They go, well, the government holds the note on our mortgages.
Oh, that's right.
We don't lose our house. Yeah, we don't lose our house. The government gives us money until we get a job.
Right, exactly.
And we're all like, what? But they told us you guys didn't have any freedom, you know. And you're like, well, not dying in the street sounds pretty fucking freeing to me. Right. I mean, think about the tightness in our chests right now with the economy and everything. Yeah. Not having that happen, not having to worry about getting hit by a bus or an illness. God, how freeing is that? So anyway, that's my pro-communism talk.
No, Tom, you bring up a good point, which is why I think that we're all, I mean, all of us out there, in even the listeners on this podcast, all of us are not understanding why there is a healthcare crisis unless you are chronically ill, for one. But simultaneously, there is something that is not economic or not tangible about the concept of healthcare. It is the way one lives their life. And if you're already living in a social system, like you mentioned the China, US metaphors that we were just talking about, you're only going to understand the culture that you're within. And if healthcare is a commodity or an afterthought, it's never going to be understood as something serious, which is unfortunate because it kind of implies that we're meant to live forever or we're meant to die as fast as possible. I mean, that's what it implies.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you're not wrong. And I think
it's sad because that's exactly what's happening in 26 with the big, beautiful bill. It's designing our healthcare system to mirror that. I don't know what kind of thought that is. It's definitely delusional.
It is an oligarchy type of thought where you guys serve me. You know.
Well, let me ask a contrary question here a little bit, right? Just to take the other side for a moment, right?
Okay.
You mentioned you mentioned that it is a small group of people that are chronically ill, and I agree with you, right? It's not we can talk about chronic obesity and a bunch of other things here, but like the actual like need daily attention kind of group is a small group comparative to the whole, right? When you're looking at public health or public governance of any kind, and the numbers are getting big, right? We've got 380 million or something in the US, something like that, right? And China's got 1 billion, right? Like when you're talking about dealing with 1 billion fucking people, like your decisions have to be, I would think sometimes on the face of it might look pretty barbaric or you know, bad, because if you're in that group and you hear that news, like you're taking away your Affordable Care Healthcare Act, like that's fucking tragic to the people it's tragic for. But comparative to the entire populace, it it's not really for everybody other than those people. Now, if somebody makes the jump from group A that's not affected to group B, now all of a sudden that problem changes dramatically.
Well, yeah, I would also say on a large enough scale, everyone ends up in group B.
Well,
Like
Like
so I
at
guess
some
where I'm
point
going with
you're
this
going to get
question
sick. At
is-
some point you're going to get hurt. You know,
I guess where I'm going with this is it seems to be a reactionary position only, right? Like I only react when things happen or get bad. When it's not, I'm fine and there's nothing to say about it, right?
It's like a Republican having a gay kid.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We didn't set out for a political show, Frank, but it happens.
But
this is the thing. Healthcare, as a result of the big beautiful bill, is becoming
very
more
political.
of a political
Yeah.
concept and less a humanitarian concern.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling.
and I guess that's where I was going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what how do you sort of bridge the gap between like, look, we can't I've been to countries that have socialized medicine, and that let's take the other side a second. That system fucking sucks. It
Depends on which country, though. Too. I
can tell you, I was in Europe in 2009 and 2010 for the entire summer. I was in Italy learning Italian. I was also an RA for NYU out there in their Florence campus.
That doesn't sound bad.
That sounds
amazing. It was
amazing.
beautiful. I loved it. I was
All right,
yeah.
Are they still hiring?
Because of my epilepsy. Say it again. Are they still
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Are they still hiring?
Yeah.
Well, they might be actually. No, but that being said, I had forgotten to take my medication with me. All right. Now, they're not going to accept my insurance. My insurance was from America, right? So I have to pay out of pocket. And in euros, which was higher than the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I find out that my medication is available a few feet away at a pharmacia, right? It was the branded version of the drug, all chemicals manufactured in Italy. It was available for 120 euros without insurance.
Wow.
So not only was I saved for the entire 6 weeks that I was there,
What's that box cost here in the US?
What
without insurance?
Out of pocket here in the US, what would that box cost?
It was socialized medicine.
No. He's asking how much would it cost here if you didn't have insurance?
Yeah.
That same drug, generic, without insurance, almost $1,000 a month.
Wow.
No, $1,000 a bottle.
Wow.
And if you have 3 bottles in a month based on your dosage, that's $3,000.
That's fucking bananas. And you can just walk down to the pharmacy.
And it's the generic.
Yeah. Oh, the branded is $10,000. You know, so when I came back from that experience and I tried to get my refill of the brand, they said my insurance was no longer covering it. So I had to go get my drugs, my medication from Canada, mail order, 3 months supply, equal to what my insurance copay would have been.
But
Jesus Christ.
But okay, so that's something though that again, don't shoot me when I say this, but that's an easy problem to solve, right? You go down, you get medicine, it is whatever it is. It seems like it worked out for you price wise. I'm talking about like you need a doctor because you have a physical problem and you need to be seen. I have a lot of friends in Europe and they all have private healthcare because they're like, yeah, don't let the veneer fool you. This fucking public healthcare
well,
shit
yeah, they
is
probably
for
pay
the
more in
birds.
taxes because the taxes fund their healthcare system that is supported by the European Union.
Well, no, what I'm saying is they're socialized medicine. They can do that, but none of them.
Yeah,
do.
but are they
insurance
talking about life or death situations versus?
They're talking about if
care?
I want to go see my doctor for a physical, it could be 3, 4, 5 months before I can get into the doctor.
If you mean like emergency room visits or
then
whatever?
in an emergency room, you're like, that could be overcrowded too. Just depends on what day you're there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard some pretty
but like I'm hearing stories about that here now. I just had a patient say that her mom, who actually works at Hopkins, showed up with name badges, tags, and everything, and spent overnight in the fucking reception area, getting called back for a test, coming back out. Are you admitting me? Are you letting me go? Can you tell me what's wrong? And they kept her for 12 hours in the fucking waiting room. So, like, I think,
Depends
yes, that's
on how they
probably,
triage it as emergency or not.
yeah, what's an emergency, what isn't? Are you going to die right now or are you not? But I would say every
Tom,
hospital's doing that.
The point I was making is that we can shit on, like, oh, look at all these other countries, they have private or socialized medicine. I'm like, yeah, but in practice, the people that are in the wealthy people in those ecosystems are not taking advantage of it because it's inept. It's not. Not good.
But what's worse than not having it here, right? You die. Like, right. So the option is like nothing or something that isn't perfect.
That's
right.
Our Americana.
That's our model.
It's either all or nothing.
and this is where I knew the ACA was going to fall apart, is when they removed the public option. Right? Like if they didn't, like, look, we'll let you keep your plan, but you can opt for the public. The insurance were lobbying against that. Why? Because they knew they're overcharging, they're gutting. This is something I remember when Bernie Sanders had more hair, and it was in the 80s, and he was bitching about Blue Cross Blue Shield federally, nationally, wanted to compete with Medicare. Right. So they got in, they got their foot in the door. They undercut Medicare at a loss for years. The second they signed a long-term contract, guess what they did? Oh, premiums got to go up. Premiums got to go up. And they're partially to blame for Medicare bleeding. And this is just
You're talking about Obamacare in particular?
No. This is back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
But even with the ACA, they never regulated insurance companies enough, right? They said, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And then I'm like, oh, this is great. I can afford this more comfortably.
I can tell you how they did that, though. From my own experience, being that I was declared disabled and starting to receive disability checks, and I was enrolled in Medicare A and B immediately. But the thing is that I did not have certain benefits that I would have had in Obamacare. But yet, I also, again, being a recipient at that time of only disability checks, I was ineligible for Obamacare. They had an actual guideline. You had to make $11,000 or more a year, and I wasn't. So I was disqualified. They told me to apply for Medicare Advantage, which is Part C.
Yeah, it's more of a supplemental.
Go to a regular insurance company to do that, which I then did. So I wasn't really in the Affordable Care Act, but I also was not getting private insurance. I was getting Medicare Advantage C, which now has been removed or will be removed in 2026.
So what happens?
I'm definitely beyond that level now at this point.
So what happens with the C at that point? There's just no more option. You're out. You got nothing.
Well, C, what I understand, takes care of dental care, vision care, acupuncture care. I think it even does other things out of pocket. I'm not even sure. But the thing is that as a result of what Medicare C was giving you, all of those treatments that you're getting under the C plan will be purely out of pocket. So if you're out there listening right now and you are a C candidate, vision, dental, acupuncture, the top three that I consider with C, you better have a budget for those expenses.
Right. Or unfortunately you just squint and don't go get classes.
I will admit that's what I'm doing. I used to wear contacts, but I'm not going to pay $900 for contacts. So I don't even need them really, because when I'm doing my podcast, I can see you all up close. I'm good with that.
Yeah, right.
But I do make do with what I really don't need. But one thing that I miss is my acupuncture. I used to do that. I think I was telling you that, Tom.
Yeah, you did.
I used to do that from 2009 to 2016 without fail, weekly. And I can tell it treated me well. I mean, my nervous system, my mental health, my whole focus and energy level. Without it, I can tell the difference, especially when I became a caregiver. I was going through burnout. Hence, that's why I had Todd Otten, thanks again to you, who had an episode on Frank About Health all about caregiver burnout. And he was so prolific, and I'm having him back on January 8th. To talk about the documentary.
Well, he was so moving that we're hosting his premiere down here in Baltimore on March 19th.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very exciting for us to be able to do that.
I'm giving you all an advance invite to be, when you're ready to promote that premiere. I'd like to have you all on Frank About Health.
I think that would be great, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
like,
MZ's part of that too.
and
So
MZ's, yeah.
it's a nice world there.
And you know what I like
Absolutely.
about it though? Like the answer to this, to my question really in my mind, and I was kind of baiting you on this one a little bit, but the real answer I think is more conversations like this, right? Because I think when you start connecting, you know, like Todd with you, for example, or MZ or any of these guys that we've mentioned on the show, we're not just giving gratuitous plugs because we want people to listen to their episodes on our thing. I'm like, no, fucking these guys have like great shit going on. And then when great people connect with other great people, then we start moving.
Everybody wins.
And if MZ gets his way and we have a voter block for cancer patients, that gets real interesting. Right?
Absolutely.
Like what happens right now, all of a sudden, you know, the Republican having a gay kid is the least of their problems. The Republican
now you have 200,000 cancer survivors pissed off at the way you're voting.
Right. Now all of a sudden you're like, fuck my gay child. I got a real bigger problem here, which is my I didn't realize I have so many cancer patients.
I could make a joke about Republicans and actually doing that, but I'll hold off.
There are certain files about to be released today.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that is today, isn't it? The deadline.
Yeah, files. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, if anything, even from what the both of you are saying right now, it kind of goes in line with whatever the possible hidden agendas were in creating the big beautiful bill. First of all, it's saying even if you're chronically ill, do what you can to raise the money yourself. Well, you build your community of people and fellow advocates that are angered by whatever changes have happened to take away resources from you. And when you build those communities and all of a sudden become a revenue source, then watch them try to tap into it. So I've come up with a solution that I'm ready to launch next spring where they're not going to have a say in it. The stakeholders will be the community that is building the healthcare solution.
Well, that's what MZ is saying too. It's like, he's like, you know, these people don't have a financial stake in it. I mean, I guess they do if it ends up working out well, but like what their stake is like, we will vote your dumb ass out of fucking office if you don't listen to what's happening. Like, and
exactly.
And, you know, I hate to say it, but that's what we fucking invented government for in the first place, right? Like to like actually do the will of the fucking people, not make money on your own and not be, you know, like self-serving. It's really about everybody. And like, I think the big block to that is going to be interesting to see what happens with MZ's thing, right? Like a super PAC of sick people. That's fucking maddening. Like, can you imagine if you're the guy who's trying to get rich and here comes all these like pissed off cancer patients voting you out of office? Fuck those guys. Like that's what's it's going to be interesting to watch what goes down there is what.
That's why what I was telling MZ on Frank About Health last night is that we the patients, which is the name of his PAC, is basically have to stick together during what I call 2026 to be a transition year. Whatever, if you are a healthcare podcaster or if you are developing a healthcare solution, you work with that community. You can't do it alone. You're dealing with healthcare. It's individual choice to deal with your healthcare, but we have a government that's narrating that it's not a relevant choice. Well, I disagree. Obviously, the both of you disagree but I think the entrepreneurial aspect of you has to come alive and aware and treat healthcare like it's your own private enterprise and
absolutely
work with the community to at least say, okay, if the government doesn't want to help, fine. We'll create a model that you guys didn't even bother thinking about because for you, healthcare is a weakness. It's not even a human right or privilege or need. You know, but
you know what? Listen,
I can build it.
I'm in no way, shape, or form defending the current administration, but in deference,
you don't even want to think. You don't even want to know what I'm thinking of the current administration.
No. Listen, I in deference to the burden of governing in general, not specific to any one administration, like making decisions that make everybody happy or are fiduciarily equal across the board. It's fucking impossible. You just can't do it, right? Like, and so. That solution generally does fall to private sector. So what I do find interesting about like people like MZ, and I hate to keep mentioning him, but the thing about that is that's not just a sick guy coming up with good answers. It's a sick guy saying, here's the actual finances behind it and how they work, wildly more successful than what you're doing right now. So now it's all of a sudden you're having a conversation that's on the same playing ground. as their counter position of saying that, no, we can't and the because is almost exclusively about capital, right?
Yeah.
Like it almost,
there was a German philosopher in 1865 that wrote all about this.
Oh my God.
I got to get my Mark Speared back, man. I'm like, shoot, damn it.
But yeah, like now to your point, Frank, you got people that are galvanizing and being like, well, wait a minute, they're not going to listen to us unless we solve the financial part of it, because that's the only thing these idiots care about anyway. So like, if you're not going to care about us as humans, care about our wallets, like, and here's how you do that and still, don't have egg on your face with making,
I mean, that is true, but believe it or not, that is exactly what you just said in terms of that it has to be an ongoing reinforcement, and it's podcasts that do it. I mean, I could tell you that when I look at MZ, for example, being the oldest healthcare podcast since 2007, if you have a network like talkradio.nyc, and I started when there were 17 shows, now there's about 6 or 7, but the ones that have been there the longest, including my own, are healthcare oriented. Healthcare is a constant message that has to be advocated, repeated, narrated. You have guests that also have the amplifier through their position, whether they're doctors, whether they're entrepreneurs, podcasters. They wrote books
Advocates,
on the cancer journey.
Right.
Healthcare is a lifelong journey. It's not an industry. It never will. It never was intended to be. But we live in a society, a capitalistic one, that has made it into sub-industries: the insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and of course the government tries to have their piece in it. But it's not an industry. You're talking about human lives. It's managed with industries. But when you look at healthcare for what it is, it says, okay, the government really can't be involved. It has to be private sector, but by the social impact entrepreneurs, those that are focused on healthcare as their moneymaker. And my best example of that is Kenneth Langone, the man who named NYU Medical Center, who also offered NYU medical students, the first in the country, tuition-free MDs. Now, meanwhile, though, he's a capitalist, born and bred. At the same time, from what I understand, he's a Republican. And he also founded Home Depot. He has his own investment company called Invamed. But he does believe in the healthcare vision and story that drives anything in commerce and government. So here he is, able to think in terms of the ecosystem model that I've been trying to exemplify. But we don't have that many thinkers like that.
We don't have many thinkers, Frank. That's the bigger problem.
Pretty much.
Forget about it. Forget about healthcare.
That is the quote of the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that those that really become great thinkers in their own way have either been traumatized or they went through life-changing situations that made them say, well, I'm not going to, I'll live within the system if I have to, but I'm going to drive the car.
And listen, we talk about this.
For me, Frank About Health has become now my mission and my platform to do better things in the coming year, especially. But it's not something that I see myself dropping anytime soon. It's not like your travel podcast platform or something that only has a shelf life of a couple years.
I mean, we've said it 100 times on this show. Like, our guests are the wounded healer archetype, right? Like, they're people who were pushed into a corner. They had a problem. It got too hard. They had to solve it. They had no choice but to roll up their sleeves and fix it. And then they said, you know what? I'm going to drive this car now down, and we're going to try to fix it for as many other people as we can. But that's kind of where it almost has to go. And I think that's the other sort of miscommunication with government's role in our lives, is that they have to fix all of our problems. Like, they're really not good at that, right? Like, they're just not. And I don't think any of them have been. I mean, when was the last administration that got it right? Like, I can't think of one, right? Like,
well,
I mean,
in my lifetime, if I were to give you my own 2 cents on this, in my lifetime, I've seen Nixon, Carter, Reagan, Clinton, Obama, you know who, and Biden. And I would say nobody ever got it right, and nobody ever could. The only person that can get healthcare right is the person living with the healthcare
The
issue.
individual, yeah.
Right.
Correct. I would say it should be a consortium of entrepreneurs along with government, if that could even happen. I don't know.
Well, you know what? It can. It can, and it is. MZ is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like he said, here's a $30 billion cookie jar, and here's how you put your hand in it. And like he's like drawing the fucking blueprint. It's like as clear as the nose on my face.
Well,
and now
when I meant entrepreneurs, I mean people who think entrepreneurial. I don't mean like proven.
I know what you meant. What I'm saying is like that sparks other entrepreneurs' flames going, well, wait a minute. There's a $30 billion market cap here. I own 10 other companies that I've started. How do I tap into that? I don't need MZ to tell me that. I just need MZ to identify that there's a $30 billion cookie jar.
Yeah, you need somebody pointing at the problem, right? Or where it's all being stored.
Right. And now you get some guy like that come along and he's like, hey, I'll throw 50 mil at this problem and see what happens. Like I got, like I'll throw $10 million at this thing. I'll see what happens. Let me, and that's where I think I'm also agreeing with you. 26 is sort of like this. And I would argue that 25 had vestiges of this as well, that we're sort of in this sort of awakening phase where we're like, all right, listen, we all agree that what we did before now doesn't work. We have to figure it out. And now as a society, we've become the wounded healer. Like now the whole fucking system's the wounded healer now. Cause we're like, wait a minute, I can't.
I think our reminders were, we have two reminders in the recent past, 9/11 and the COVID pandemic. That's when everybody, no matter who you were, no matter what your age was or your wealth or whatever, we were all banding together as a community, especially during COVID. Does it really take a crisis to bring everybody together?
Yes.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, they need to be shook out of their,
Yeah.
Well,
they got to be shook out of their,
They got to be shook out of their day to day.
Exactly.
But that's because the 80% who are healthy and happy and fine don't give a shit because they're not.
But this is their existence, right? It's a lull into compliance. I hate to say that and be a little bit down about it, but like there's something, and this is almost Nietzschean. Oh, look at that! Now I sound all highbrow. And it's you look, suffering breeds something in you, right? It like I have to solve this problem. I need to be aware of this, but our lives are too comfortable on the day to day. So you don't care that like, hey, maybe my cholesterol's too high. Maybe my heart isn't as good as it is. I'll just go take a pill. Why? And then I don't have to think about it, right? I don't have to look for that answer. It's people that have something chronic or debilitating or see the world differently that are like, no, you have to go in there and fix this at a level that's just do what the doctor says or take a pill. It just doesn't do it,
Correct. I mean, to understand healthcare is to live through it. I mean, for me, I started a podcast only trying to remove stigmas, did all the research before that, but I wasn't faced with any challenges until I saw my father go through cancer and we didn't know what was going to happen. Then until I found myself taking my cousin to a nursing home against her will, but no choice because it was either that or become homeless and indigent on the street. And God forbid something happens. And then also the burnout that I was experiencing while also seeing what's going on in our government.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was going to lose it at one point, and it took our friend Anshar to bring me back to normal. And here I am saying, okay, well, I have all of these pieces, both personally and from observation. What am I going to do about it? That's why I have this Voices of Disruption campaign. We're not going to sit and listen to what's going to happen in 2026. We're going to do something about it in our own way. But you can only do it with a community of fellow advocates. And if they're not advocates, bye.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have time.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that kind of a great segue into like, what are you doing here and how do we kind of push people to help you a little bit? Because like, I do think that
we know we're not trying to let the cat out of the bag completely yet, but what can we tease out here?
But I firmly believe that community here is the solution. And if we can be a part of that with you, I'd love to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that because based on the certain code E360, from the conversations I had with them, they're already interested in helping out as well. That I can give you a hint on. I think, Matt, you probably already have an insight into what's going on, which is fine. I just can't publicly announce things until they're fully developed. But
Totally.
I am working with individuals, both from my podcast as well as from the Fordham Gabelli School of Business, in developing a financial product that will substitute the gaps in healthcare that will be eventually appearing in January 2026.
Are you going to get a duck as your mascot? like, that animal's taken. I'm going with a ferret.
I would go with a guillotine, but that's just me.
I can't even think of it as a mascot, really. I mean, if anything, we're just dealing with anyone who needs a replacement for what's being taken away, even if it's food stamps. All right. Remember, we had a government shutdown and everybody was being held prisoner by a certain president that unless the government reopens, you're not going to get your SNAP credits. I mean, now, I don't think there's even a correlation between the two, but it was made into one. And the thing is that all it takes is for everyone to benefit from it, including the elite. You want your money for your plastic surgery? Well, let's help you fund it. You know, I'm not.
If you want the Mar-a-Lago makeover,
yeah.
That depends on who on his staff you ask.
Yeah, well,
right.
you know, I mean, honestly, we're thinking you're inhumane now. You might as well look non-human. Anyway,
well, I mean, maybe he'll need this product. I mean, I will give the message behind it. I call it Community Action for Secure Health, and it will be a financial product, something you can use on your mobile phone, an app, and you can also use it as a debit card tied to either your credit card company, or HSA, or checking account, depending on which bank you use. But I'm working on the infrastructure right now and then proposing it to those fiduciary partners and ultimately get brand partners that are social responsible brands. Costco, they have the big market on the GLP-1 drugs, for example, or Walmart is big on it. Starbucks is big on it. You know, but that would be phase 2. We want to first.
Wait a minute. Are you telling I can get my weight loss drugs at Costco?
I mean,
I can get a pallet of Wegovy.
Yeah.
At Costco.
Not a pallet, but I'm sure they have a bundled rate if you're a member.
What's ironic about that and hilarious is the smallest unit of beef I can get is a 12-pound side of fucking beef, but it's
only
okay.
$75
because I can go grab my Wegovy on the way out the door. Oh my god!
I can go 10 minutes up the road and hit a cow for that.
But yeah, right, exactly. That would be more affordable too. But no, the thing is that ironically, for that large side of beef for $75. If you were to find that, which you won't, at a regular retailer, like even Whole Foods, that would be probably $200.
Oh,
so
more than
that. I'm being generous, right? So I mean, I'm not really looking at the tariffs in this case because I do most of my shopping at Costco. To be frank with you.
Yeah. Right.
And I buy in bulk, especially.
Nice tie-in.
Well, true. But at the same time, I do that because I have to keep aware of the financial budget for my father's ongoing nutrition care, because he's resolved, well, not fully resolved from the cancer, but it has led to side effects with the immunotherapy he's on, including some dementia. But it's not Alzheimer's, because I know the difference now that I saw my cousin go through it. Yet it can be nutrition based. It needs a lot more iron food products, a lot more vitamin B products and stuff like that, which I've actually seen take positive effect. We were playing Trivial Pursuit with my nephews a month ago around Thanksgiving, and he starts reciting a soliloquy from Hamlet because he was asked a question about Hamlet. And I'm like, Where did that come from? And I realized just a couple days before, he had a real huge slice of salmon with omega-3s and everything. And I think it must have done something.
Kicked loose.
So,
well,
this is something, and once again, this is not medical advice, but
Correct.
if you Google a high dose omega-3 supplementation for brain health, you will see some pretty cool information on there. And I believe it's a 6-week cycle.
Well, yeah, and it's true because he started this nutrition program in September. So maybe what I was seeing was about 6 to 8.
The culmination of that. Yeah.
Right. And a lot more almonds and a lot more electrolyte water and stuff like that.
It's a stupid little tricks like that make a big difference. And we just don't have that. But to Tom's earlier point, 200 years ago,
what's ironic?
Every old lady on your block would have known that.
Everything we've been talking about shows still a dependency factor on our government. And that is when you're healthy. We're dependent on regulations for taxes and the economy and airfare and whatever. But when it comes to healthcare, there's no one you can depend on except yourself. So you have to mirror that with your doctor. I treat all my doctors as if they're colleagues. I will. And if I don't like what they're saying, I say, I'm sorry, you're not good for me. It's been fun. Got to go.
I went to a concierge doc.
I will give you $1 if you show up in a lab coat.
Yeah.
And take a photo. Oh, yeah, that would be great. Next doctor you go to, just walk in with a lab coat.
I've been an avid viewer of Grey's Anatomy, so I would know exactly who I would dress up as.
There is a whole scrubs line around Grey's Anatomy. You can get all the doctors have their own scrubs.
I think I've seen that. Yes, that's true.
Which is peak capitalism in my mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, who doesn't want to have the Grey's Anatomy scrubs?
That's been on the air for 22 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Interesting, because everyone wants to know how to get healthcare information, even if it's dramatized, because they're getting information. They're not finding it. Well, I mean, 8 out of 10
shows are fucking medical dramas, and the other 2 are
the other 3 are how to kill people.
Yeah,
True, but their shelf life is 5 to 7 years. Then they go. But Grey's Anatomy's been here for 22 years. I think personally it needs to go soon, but from the perspective of everything I've heard about the impact it's created, especially during COVID, you've got people at higher rates of enrollment in medical schools because of that show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, we just hope that they're not doing things the Meredith Grey way, that they're actually learning how to be the best doctors that they can be,
That's fascinating.
So,
all right, Frank, let's get to your commercial, buddy.
Sure.
How do we get to you? No, how do we get to you?
I didn't even hear it. Say it again?
How do we get to you? Let's do the Frank commercial.
What do you want to plug? Websites,
how do we
shows, all of it.
Okay.
Let her rip.
Well, I would say my email address is frankrharrison1@gmail.com. My social media is on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. I have a YouTube channel of my own, but I also have my podcast on talkradio.nyc's YouTube channel. You can Google Frank About Health. It'll drive you to various socials. I have my podcast on LinkedIn as well. I have my own website, frankrharrison.com. I also have a link, which I gave you guys. It comes in a QR code, but at the same time, there is a link which actually houses on my mobile phone all of my access points, including my podcast playlist, my documentary, which I'm going to really aggressively release during the holiday season to pay tribute to Retha Gray. She died on December 31st, 2024. It's free for everyone to see the advocate that she was. Also, it tells a story of Frank About Health, where it began, how it was conceived, how it grew into and evolved. Also, I would like everyone to pay attention to the last 3 months of Frank About Health episodes so they can see you, Tom.
Thank you.
See MZ. That show was powerful last night. I haven't even yet seen the view count, but from what I'm hearing from our mutual friend, that link will have everybody seeing access to my podcast, the documentary, my socials, my website, and even my face, but
there we go.
The thing is that aside from that information, when they understand how I'm now on a mission after what we've been seeing going on since July 4th, that's when the legislation was approved. I am going to be very aggressive next year, and I hope that my product, I guess I can call it, it's called MedCash, but it is capital CASH. It is a cash product, but it is a movement, community action for social health. Secure Health. I changed the name because of our politics, so I just want everyone to know that no matter what you're chronically ill, or if you're preventative care, or if you're alternative care, or if you're wealthy, or if you're indigent, you can have MedCash. It's not partisan in any way. It's just going to be differentiated based on what your needs are. So it'll be programmed with the right algorithms. I will be using artificial intelligence legally, ethically, and correctly, but for the areas of understanding that if you are wealthy and you happen to be a medical professional, maybe you can use Medcash to fund your new invention or your new treatment protocol. I'm not being differentiated based on HIPAA or based on medical protocols. I mean, that is what got us into trouble to begin with and made people unaware what really is healthcare. Healthcare is only if I'm sick. No, healthcare is going on every day. Just being alive is having good healthcare. All right. And of course, there is our individual reactions in society that can qualify as mental health care or neurological health care. And those things need to be made aware for yourself, at least, so that you know that the life you're living is either authentic and not delusional. Because if it is delusional, then you can be a candidate for Medcash too, because you can find the right treatment and afford it. You know, so it's about trying to make sure that this movement just creates a solution that will helpfully put everybody on a normal playing field until we finally get to whatever the best solution or outcome would be. But I think, Matt, to echo what we've been talking about, this is a lifelong situation. It's never going to be perfect in our lifetimes. I could never say that it would
agree with that.
Perfect 100 years from now. But if everyone understands that healthcare is part of your life, preventative or chronically ill, then I think we would be having different conversations with our elected leaders. But I don't know. I would love to see that one day.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think again the jaded New Yorker in me says it's always going to be up to you. Fuck it, fuck the government, fuck everybody else, because it's only up to you anyway. So like I'd love that not to be the case, but you know, feels like that is.
Think about it. If people are investing in buying a new home or a new car, or they want to take that special vacation, it's up to them if they want to travel. It's up to them if they even want a home. Maybe they want an apartment. Maybe they want a log cabin. Or maybe they don't want to drive at all. Maybe they don't like cars. They like Uber instead. So everybody has to determine if they have a need, how do you want it delivered and met? Do you want to go out and find it yourself? Or do you want to invent it yourself? Or do you just want to neglect it and let nature take its course? We want to give people freedom of choice. That's another aspect that I'm hoping my movement will give people their agency back, because we are unfortunately living in a system fused by too much bad media that's making everyone feel paralyzed, and they don't know what to think or do. They're depending on something, but they're not going to get it because we don't have the right channels to give us our needs. That's
and you know what people don't understand enough is that inaction is also a choice, right? It's a decision, right? Like, and so like, that's where I try to tell my kids that I'm like, you sitting on the couch doing nothing is a decision that has consequence.
Exactly.
Like good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter, but just understand that this doesn't forego a decision. It is in fact in and of itself a decision. So, and like, absolutely, when I first told my kids that, they looked at me, they're like, oh shit. Like, what do you like? That's different. And I'm like, yeah, just keep in mind, man. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Yeah. And
Frank, I love the conversation.
Me too. And again, healthcare podcasts like Irreverent Health. Yes. Even Frank About Health, or anyone, out of patients, anyone with a healthcare podcast is a source of information. It's not mandatory, but it's wise to continue ongoing. If ever you feel those burnout moments, I don't have the right guest, so what? You have yourself. You can be your own guest. I mean, healthcare podcasts are a mainstay, and they need to continue to be elevated and represented in any platform, whatever that may be.
Frank, I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. This conversation is definitely not our last of this topic for sure, and it's always nice to nudge this thing down the road. So, all right, fellas, enjoy the weekend.
Happy Friday afternoon.
Happy Friday and all the other stuff. Thanks again, guys, and have fun. Take care.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.